Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. So, everyone is here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So,
Um,
today we'll take the reproduction. And first of all, today is a quiz also. Okay. So, everyone is prepared? थोड़ा बहुत अच्छा ठीक है बहुत छोटा there's a quiz from only 2 topics. Okay, तो उतना ज़्यादा परेशान होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. बहुत इजी क्विज है ईमानदारी से दीजिएगा ठीक है okay so today we'll start so this topic we have already discussed in a previous course also fish reproduction okay. And most of the slides you people have gone through okay so I just wanted to know that should I go in this presentation slide by slide or you people have some confusion and we'll discuss that. नो रिस्पॉन्स कुछ बताइए
यस क्या मैम
slide by slide, ma'am.
स्लाइड बाय स्लाइड पढ़ाऊं या फिर यू पीपल हैव अ कंफ्यूजन एंड आई विल डिस्कस ओनली दोस कंफ्यूजन्स ओनली
नहीं मैम स्लाइड बाय स्लाइड पढ़ा दीजिए थोड़ा सा
ये पढ़ाया है मैंने पहले भी
हाँ मैम पढ़ ली
डिवीजन करा दीजिए मैम डिवीजन करा दीजिए
अच्छा कहने का मतलब यू नीड इट स्लाइड बाय स्लाइड ओनली इज इट
यस मैम यस मैम
एवरीवन एवरीवन
यस
Yes,
मैम
दो ही लोगों का यस सर
yes, ma'am.
तो नहीं पड़ेगा जो
Yes, ma'am.
और कौन है कोई ऐसा है नो मैम है प्लीज anyone doesn't want this class to be taken slide by slide because it has already been taken
जल्दी जल्दी में मैम करवा दीजिए जल्दी में
why should I go jaldi jaldi okay we'll take it one by one okay so okay we'll start
क्योंकि मैम पढ़ा हुआ था पिछले में
okay so we will take first the fish reproduction okay so if we're talking about the reproduction what is reproduction is basically development of offspring from the parents okay or basically the traits okay which passes from one generation to the other by a method so can you anyone define me what is the major difference between the living and non-living things
Yes. Yeah, consciousness, metabolism, and reproduction.
living things
reproduction
can reproduce non-living things cannot reproduce
okay so the reproduction is one of the basic the fundamental feature of the life okay if I'm talking about any organism or anything that has life okay whether it is a single cell or it is an animal it is a plant microbes anything if I'm talking about the life then reproduction is the fundamental character of living thing or a life okay so reproduction is basically a co-evolved traits okay for producing the another generation that will produce the another the next one the next one and the next one okay so in today's class we will go for some of the terms which is related to the reproduction and if I'm talking about the fishes actually fishes whenever we studied anything whether we when we gone through the courses of the anatomy or when we have gone through the taxonomy okay and now in this semester in the physiology what we have seen what we have seen in these courses what we found that any type of adaptation or variation you think that is available in fishes is it so they are a very successful group of aquatic animals okay they are a huge diversity in terms of morphology in terms of physiological processes in terms of their and to support this diversity they have the diverse anatomy is it so today we will take you what are the different reproductive strategies taken by the fishes what is reproduction what is the type of or methods of reproduction what are the strategies which is taken by the fishes to reproduce. If you talk about a fishes, almost 40,000 species exist in aquatic water. 40,000 known species, even more. Okay, these are some of the known or reported species of the fishes, and any type of variation or adaptation you just think that is available in the fishes. Okay, so today we will go through all those terminology, okay, which is related to the reproduction and reproductive development, and then we'll take the quiz. Okay, so first is the reproduction. This is a biological process by which new offspring or the individual organism is produced from their parents. As I have told, the main difference between the living and the non-living is because the ability of a living organism to reproduce. Okay, so reproduction is the fundamental feature of all the known life. Okay, each organism, okay, is actually the result of the whatever the organism exists in this planet, or whatever the life exists in the universe is basically existed as a result of the reproduction. So if we talk about the reproduction, there are basically two types of reproduction. One is the sexual and another one is the asexual. When I'm talking about the sexual reproduction, means a reproduction which involves the mating of the gametes. Okay, the gametes I'm talking about means male and female gametes. So bisexual means sexual reproduction means where the fertilization takes place between the oocyte and spermatocytes. Okay, when the fertilization of egg and sperms takes place, any method, okay, a mean of reproduction where the fertilization between the egg and sperms takes place is known as the bisexual reproduction. And if and the another one is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction means a reproduction method where fertilization of gamete does not take place. Okay, the fertilization of gametes is, or fertilization is not there. Okay, that is the asexual reproduction. This what is bisexual, what is hermaphrodite, what is parthenogenetic. We'll see it in the next class, next slide actually. So what is the bisexual or the heterosexual organism or the reproduction? Okay, in the bisexual reproduction, the male and female reproductive organs are situated in two different individual of a species. Okay, suppose if we take the example of the human, we are the bisexual and species where the male reproductive organ is a one individual and the female reproductive organ is another. So most of the fishes, they are bisexual in nature, so the male and female fishes are there, but it doesn't mean even it has but there are some group of fishes who are hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means they a single individual have both the organs. Okay, a single individual have male as well as the female reproductive organ. And this hermaphrodite type of reproduction, there is a two types exist in the fishes. One is the simultaneous and another one is the sequential. In the simultaneous, what happened, of a same fish, okay, at the same time they have both male and female functional reproductive organ. Means a fish at a single time it can produce male gamete as well as a female gamete. Simultaneous matlab ek saath. Okay, so the simultaneous hermaphrodite means a group of fishes or the fishes which produce male and female gametes at the same time in a same individual. Okay, there are several fishes, the group of fishes which are simultaneous hermaphrodites. The very typical example is eels and killifish. Okay, these two fishes, which eels belong to the anguilliformes and killifish belongs to the antheriniformes, they are the fishes which are the typical example of simultaneous hermaphrodite, where a single individual have male as well as a female reproductive organs, and they produce oocytes and matured spermocyte at a same time. Then second one is the sequential hermaphrodite. Sequential means sequence one by one. Okay, so a same individual can develop the male and female reproductive organ on maturity, but different sex. A same species at one stage of a life maybe male, and another stage of the life they become female, or at one stage of the life they are female, and some other stage of the life or other stage of the maturity they becomes male. Okay, so that is known as the sequential hermaphrodite, that also have two categories, protandrous and protogynous. Okay, androus means male, protandrous means a animal or the fish which is first male followed by the female character, means first the fish have the male sex because they have male developed reproductive organ, and after certain time or certain stage of maturity it become females, means their male reproductive organs degenerates and female reproductive organs develop and produce the viable female gametes. Okay, that is known as protandrous type of sequential hermaphrodite condition. Then another one is protogynous. Gynous means female. So in this group of fishes, the first animal develop their sex as a female, means first they have a female reproductive organ, they produce a mature oocyte, and after some stage of maturity the female organs degenerate and the animal becomes male, because now it have a male reproductive organ which produce mm, which produce male. Okay, so which produce sperms. Okay, mature spermatocytes. Now this third category of the reproduction, which is this bisexual or hermaphrodite, these both are a sexual type of reproduction, and this parthenogenetic reproduction is known as a asexual reproduction. In this reproduction, fertilization of male and female gamete does not take place, means offspring generates, means from one generation to the another. Okay, the generation of the offspring takes place, but there is a no fertilization between the male and female gametes. So if in a single sentence we can say that in parthenogenetic reproduction the unfertilized egg develop into a embryo that gives a next generation individual. Okay, this parthenogenetic asexual reproduction is also of two types. Okay, the number one is the gynogenetic. Gynogenetic mode of asexual reproduction, sperms is required not for fertilization but for activation of the egg, for the activation of the egg so that it can develop into the embryo. Okay, means mating does not takes place, fertilization does not takes place, but for inducing the development of egg to the embryo, okay, the sperms is required for activation of the egg. So basically this is asexual mode of reproduction because no mating or the fertilization takes place. Okay, no fertilization takes place, sperms and egg meets, matings occur but no fertilization. So what happens, the resultant offspring, they are basically the clone of the mother because there is a no participation of the genetic material of the male gamete. Then second one is the hybridogenetic asexual reproduction, in which what happen, matings occur and fertilization also occurs. Okay, if the mating occurs and fertilization occurs, then how it become asexual? The reason is that after fertilization the developing embryo discard the genetic material of the male partner. Okay, so in the next generation or the offspring which is uh, developed by this mode of reproduction, that doesn't carry the genetic material from the male parents. Okay, that is why this is also one of the category of the asexual reproduction, because the embryo or the next generation offspring, they have the genetic material of the mother only. Okay, so for egg development, for embryo, the mating and fertilization both takes place, but the male gene or the male genetic material is discarded, and the next generation individual have only maternal genetic material. So this is clear to everyone, what is bisexual, what is hermaphrodite, what is simultaneous hermaphrodite, what is sequential hermaphrodite, and asexual reproduction. Clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the reproduction strategies. As I have told, there is a huge diversity among the fishes. There are more than 14,000 of the known known fish species. So whatever the possible reproductive strategies can be taken by the animal, that all reproductive strategies are available in the fishes. Okay, so here we will see what are the different reproductive strategies which is taken by or adopted by the different fishes. There are basically three reproductive categories. Number one is the non-guarders, guarders, and bearers. Non-guarders means a group of fishes which do not guard their egg and larvae. Do not guard their egg and larvae means after fertilization, means when they release gametes, okay, the fertilization takes place and the male and female partner, they just leave the egg and larvae for development. Okay, so they generally don't guard their eggs or larvae. So that are the group of non-guarders. Okay, then they are of two types: the open substrate spawner, which A lacks in the open spaces. मतलब कहीं भी नदी में there is in the river or a pond, lake, ditches, swampy areas, wetlands, any open area, the male and female mm, they come together. Okay, then this mating occurs and female releases the egg, the male releases the egg in the in the open spaces, and then what happened, the fertilization, external fertilization in water occurs. Okay, and then they just simply get apart. So that is the open substrate spawner. Then another one is the brood hiders. Okay, they lay eggs in hidden spaces. Okay, hidden spaces means they don't guard their leg in their egg and larvae, but they ensure that they should breed in a, means they should not they won't breed in an open substrate or the open area. They choose some privacy. Okay, they breed there in the hidden places, that also increase the percent, the rate of the survivability of the larvae. Okay, so these are the non, they won't guard their egg and larvae, but yes, they choose some hidden places for breeding. Okay, then another category is the garden, sometimes male, sometimes female, and in some cases both the parents, the male and female, they guards the egg and larvae after they are laying. Okay, so what happens? They use some choose some substrate chooses. Okay, choose some substrate, that may be the rock, that may be a small ridge, okay, or anything, and then they, or any the roots of aquatic plants, anywhere they choose a substrate which they found suitable for egg laying. So the male and female, they search for the suitable substrate, they choose the suitable substrate, they breed there, and sometime male, sometime female, sometimes both the parents, they actually guard the fishes. Okay, and another one is the nest spawner. There are some group of fishes, they actually build a nest. Okay, they build a nest. In this nest they actually lay the egg and they guard their eggs and larvae. Then the third group of reproductive strategy is bearers. Okay, bearers means the fishes that bears the young one, okay, with them. So that is also two categories: the external bearer and internal bearers. Okay, we'll take this one by one. The external bearer means they are the fishes, okay, which even when we still discuss oviparous, then we'll take this external and internal bearers. So this is the one of the example of the bubble nest. Okay, this is the fighter fish. Here you just see they build the nest by the bubbles. This is the male and female fishes mating. This is also, you can see that these are the bubbles and these are the larvae attached to the bubbles. Okay, so this is one of the example where the fish uh, made the bubble nest for fertilization. This is the another nest which is made by a white spotted puffer fish in the bottom of the ocean bed, okay, or sea bed. Okay, this is, just see, this is the nest which is prepared by the white spotted puffer fish. Okay, mating system. Okay, the mating system, there are different type of mating system which occurs in the female. First one is the promiscuous, in which both the sex, or means the male and female, they have multiple partners. Okay, so a single female can mate with the multiple male, or the multiple male, the multiple females, they are mating with the multiple males. Okay, that is a very most common type of mating system which exists in the fishes. Okay, then there is a polygamy, in which either male or a female have multiple partners in a particular breeding season. Okay, then polygamy is divided into two, the polygynous and polyandry. Polygynous means a single male which have multiple female partners, and polyandry means a single female with a multiple male partners. Okay, and monogamy is also a kind of mating system which occurs in the fishes, in which the mating pair means one male and a one female, they remains together over time. Okay, and this is very common in the fishes, where the long gestation of the young one or the guarding of the young ones takes place. Some examples are seahorse, pipefish, and some cichlets are the example which shows the monogamy, means the single male female pairs, they live together, okay, for several years. Now the method of fertilization. Okay, the fishes are aquatic, and in most of the fishes, okay, fertilization is external. Okay, the fertilization is external. External means the male and female gametes, they get fertilized outside the body of the animal. Okay, so because fishes are aquatic, so male and female fishes, they actually release the gametes in the water, and the fertilization of the male and female gametes takes place in sorry, fertilization and of gametes takes place in water. Okay, so what most of the teleost, okay, most of the teleost or bony fishes, they have this mode of fertilization. Okay, there are some of the advantage of the external fertilization, because it required less time and energy in courtship and pair bonding. It there is a it increases the number of potential mates. Okay, and then the fecundity is also greater in this group of animals. Okay, now the internal fertilization, which is very common in elasmobranchs, but it is also found in some of the bony or the teleost fishes, the shark, rays, skates, rat fishes. These are the fishes which actually go for the internal fertilization, means the fertilization of means the fertilization or the male and female gametes meets inside the body of the female. Okay, there are some examples like guppies, mollies, okay, surf perch. They are the group of the bony fishes which also have this internal fertilization. Okay, so just see the internal, what is the how it is different from and how it is more energy costing. When we talk about the internal fertilization, it requires the lengthy courtship, means the male and female needs to be together for a longer time. Okay, which is this, and this lengthy courtship is actually required for mating, for preparation of the mating. Then because the fertilization is internal, so they need some reproductive intermediate organ that help in courtship. Okay, so in the elasmobranchs like clasper, in the elasmobranchs, their pelvic fin is developed in, is modified into a intermittent organ, okay, clasper, that helps in holding the female fishes and transferring in the transfer of the gametes. Okay, then another one is the modified anal fin in your guppies and mollies. Okay, then modified genital papilla in some group of fishes. So these are some there is basically they are fin which is modified into the intermediate organ. So in internal fertilization, fish also needs a specialized organ to help to assist the internal mode of fertilization. Okay, and in male and in this because the fertilization is internal, so the male also required another in male they have some storing sperm storing structure which is known as the seminal vesicle. Okay, there is another mode of fertilization which is known as a buccal fertilization. This is basically external fertilization. What happened? Okay, the female lays the egg. It filled with the egg inside the mouth, and the male it also released the sperm near the mouth of the fish. And what fish did? They simply swallow all the sperm inside the mouth, and in the buccal, the fertilization of the male and female gamete takes place. Okay, the corridorus is the example of the buccal fertilization. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the reproduction methods. Okay. Now the oviparous and then live bearers. Okay. The oviparous means the group of animals which lays egg. Okay. So majority of the bony fishes, they are oviparous. Okay. They release the oocytes, and that get fertilized with the sperm and develop outside the maternal body. Now second is the live bearers. Live bearers have two category. One is the viviparous and second one is the ovoviviparous. The viviparous is the fertilization in this the fertilization is internal, and during the gestation means the development of the embryo inside the mother. Okay, there is a, then there is a means fertilization takes place. Fertilization takes inside the mother's body. Okay, and during the gestation means after the fertilization, embryo is established in the uterus of the female, and then it develops up to when it get released from the body. So in this that period is known as the gestation period. Okay, so in gestation period there is an exchange of the between the maternal fluid and the embryonic embryo is occurs. The food exchange from mother to the embryo is goes, or the transfer of the nutrient from mother to the embryo. Okay, so this type of method is basically viviparous. Okay, these are the examples. Okay, this is your guppy and molly. They are the very good examples of the bony fishes which are live bearers. Okay, and then ovoviviparous. Okay, ovoviviparous means fertilization is internal. Okay, but gestation means fertilization is internal. Now the young one is inside the body of a mother. Okay, or the fertilized embryo is inside the body of the mother, but there is no maternal embryonic exchange of nutrient. Okay, so during this gestation period, okay, in this gestation period when the developing embryo is inside the mother, okay, uterus, it doesn't take any nutrient or a food from mother's body, that only sustain on the yolk reserve of the oocyte. Okay, the oocytes which have a yolk proteins, fat droplets. So the developing embryo, it survive on the yolk reserve. There is no exchange between the maternal and embryo. Okay, maternal fluid in the embryo. So that is the category of live bearers, viviparous and ovoviviparous. Now the sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism, di means two, morphism means two different morphology. If a male and a female of the same species have different morphology or some difference in their morphology, that is known as a sexual dimorphism. Okay, or we can say that the animal which show morphological peculiarities, okay, which facilitate the fertilization of ova, we can say that as the copulatory organ in the male. Okay, and sometimes whatever, it doesn't mean the sexual dimorphism means only a presence of any extra organ that helps in fertilization or copulation or mating. Okay, so if I'm talking about the claspers in sharks particularly, so what happened, the pelvic fin is modified into the clasper. That claspers is held during the copulation and mating. Okay, so that is definitely a sexual dimorphic character, because clasper is not present in the female, clasper is present in the male only. Okay, but it doesn't mean only the organ which helps in the copulation or mating is a sexual dimorphic character, or the sexual means shows the sexual dimorphism. There are some other type of some other means modification or change in their morphology that may not help in the fertilization, but that is meant for courtship or the fighting with the other female or a male. Okay, when there is always a competition meeting with the suitable, because each fish actually look for a better mate. Okay, so sometimes the female fight for the better male, sometimes the males fight for the better good potential female mate. Okay, so all these characters also comes as a sexual dimorphic characters. Okay, so these are the list of some of the external morphological differences which exist in the fishes. The number one of the size of fish, there are several fish, okay, where the male and female of the same age. If I'm talking about the common carp, have you heard the common carp, na? Cyprinus carpio. Okay, the Cyprinus carpio, the male and the female of the Cyprinus carpio of same age, means suppose say 1 year old Cyprinus carpio male and a 1 year old Cyprinus carpio female, they both have a difference in the size. If we talk about the 1 year old female of the tilapia and the 1 year old male of the tilapia, they both have a difference in the size. Okay, so this is also one of the secondary sexual dimorphic character. Then length, shape and texture of the fin. When you go for this breeding of you are now having one course of breeding of fin fishes, na? So whenever we go for the breeding of the fin fishes, particularly IMC, Rohu, Katla, Mrigal, so whenever you have to check whether they are matured or not, there is one character, their pectoral fin seems rough. Okay, there is a rough, okay, or in non in means in breeding season that fins become rough. Okay, their texture get changed during the breeding season. So that is also one of the sexual dimorphic character. Coloration also change. If you have, you remember we have one aquarium in our entrance. So one aquarium have this goldfish and another aquarium have a tiger barb. Remember?
Yes. Yes,
Hmm?
ma'am.
When you have seen the
Yes.
tiger very closely, their fins
Yes.
are outlined with orange color. Okay, so the oogenesis. Okay, so oogenesis is basically a process of development of mature egg from primordial germ cells called oogenesis. And basically what happened, the primary oogonium, okay, which is a primary germ cell, which is responsible, or okay, which is initial or the foundation cell for the development of the oocyte. So what happened, the primary oogonium, it undergoes mitosis and it forms the primary, it forms the secondary oogonium, and then it is oogonium goes cell growth. Okay, and it forms the primary oocyte. Okay, and when primary oocytes, up to the formation of primary oocyte, the number of chromosome inside the cell is 2n. Then what happened, meiosis occur, the meiosis 1. Okay, which is also known as the reduction division occurs. So what happened, this primary oocyte is now divided into two cells. One is the secondary oocyte and the second one is the first polar body. Okay, so now because of the reduction division, the two resultant cell have n number of chromosome. One is known as the secondary oocytes and another one is the first polar body. Now the secondary oocyte undergoes the meiosis 2 or another division, okay, which is almost equivalent to the mitosis. And here what happened, the one is developed as a mature ovum or the egg, and another one is the second polar body. Okay, so this is the process of the oogenesis, or the formation of the egg cell from the primordial germ cells. Okay, this is the stage of the maturation of the oocytes, how the egg matures from oogonium to the oocyte 1, then oocyte 2, oocyte 3, oocyte 4, 5, 6, and then mature egg. Okay, these stages are basically depend on the deposition of the yolk protein and other yolk material, okay, or the vitellogenate. Okay, so we'll see, um, when we'll see the vitellogenesis, then we'll see how this is stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 occurs. So now the reproductive cycle, as in the male, there was a 5 stages of the reproductive cycle. The same in the female also, the resting phase, then preparatory phase, then maturing or the pre-spawning phase, the spawning phase, and post-spawning phase. In the resting phase is the immature stage, okay, where the cells are in the first stage of meiotic division occurs in the oogonium cell. In the preparatory cell, what happened, the vitellogenesis starts, means basically the deposition of the yolk protein inside the oocytes. Then in the maturing phase or the pre-spawning phase, there is the extensive process of vitellogenesis occurs. Okay, and the first meiotic division is also get completed, and second meiotic division starts here. And then the spawning, which is characterized by the gravate ovary, which contains the ripe or the mature ovocyte full of the yolk, and then post-spawning phase, where the ovary exhibits the collapsed structure or the collapsed appearance due to the evacuation of the follicle, means the eggs get released from the ovarian follicle to the external environment or for the fertilization. Okay, so this is the seasonal change appears in the ovary of the teleost. Then the vitellogenesis, this is the accumulation of the yolk substance in the egg called vitellogenesis. Okay, there are different means there are this is basically a lipophosphoprotein. Okay, lipophosphoprotein means a protein which have a phospholipid which attached with a phospholipid. Okay, so lipophosphoprotein, the vitellogenesis is basically a protein which is attached with the phospholipids. Okay, it is synthesized inside the liver. Okay, under the influence of the female hormone, and then it passes in, then it get transferred to the ovary. Okay, where the oocytes are there. So from liver to the ovary, it travels through the blood. Okay, from the plasma. Okay, it's travel through the blood. From blood it goes to the ovary, and in ovaries it goes inside the oocytes. Okay, where it undergoes the proteolysis, means it get fragmented into different proteins, different yolk proteins. The number one is the lipovitellin, then phosphatin, then beta component and beta prime component, and C-terminal peptides. Okay, and these different yolk proteins, okay, they're deposited as three different yolk substances, like yolk vesicle, which contains glycoprotein, yolk globules, which contains lipoproteins, and oil droplets, which contains glycerides. Okay, so when the vitellogenesis completes, okay, the germinal vesicles moves toward the animal pole. What is germinal vesicle and what is animal pole? ये सब मैंने पिछली बार पढ़ाया है. What is germinal vesicle? Anyone?
स्पर्म का हेड इंटर करे.
वो तो animal pole हो गया. What is germinal vesicle? What is germinal? Anyone?
जर्मिनल सेल होता है, मतलब जर्म सेल.
यहाँ में oocyte is if I'm talking about the germinal vesicle, cell of the
gonads.
Here, that is a germ cell. That is not germinal vesicle. Here I'm talking. What I'm telling you. See the sentence. After completion of the vitellogenesis, movement of germinal vesicle towards animal pole, means after completion of vitellogenesis in what? In the egg. Egg is a single cell, a germ cell. Na? तो germ cell के अंदर मैं बोल रही हूँ कि when the vitellogenesis completed, the germinal vesicle moves toward the animal pole, means move towards one end of the cell. Okay, because this egg cell develops the polarity after maturation. When a mature egg cell, okay, have the polarity, means they have two regions which are distinct in the distribution of cytoplasm and the organelles. So if I'm talking about the germinal vesicle, I'm basically talking about the nucleus of the egg. The reason or the vesicle, a bag, a pouch that carry the genetic material of the female egg. Okay, so what happened? The germinal vesicle, basically the nucleus of the egg, it moved towards one end. Okay, and when the germinal vesicle or the nucleus towards one end of the egg, that end is known as the animal pole. Okay, and the animal pole, is it clear to everyone? Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, so first the vitellogenesis. Basically the vitellogenesis is a process of accumulation of yolk substances in the egg. Okay, or we can say that the vitellogenesis is the accumulation of vitellogenin protein in mature egg. Okay, now where is this process is specific to female only, means the vitellogenin is a female protein, so the process of vitellogenesis is takes in the female only. Okay, and this is basically when oogenesis occurs. After oogenesis, what happened? Oocytes, okay, from primary oogonium, then secondary oogonium, and then the formation of the oocyte. So at the initial stage, initially when the oocytes form after the meiosis, what happened? It doesn't have any yolk substance or yolk material, yolk protein, fat, or anything. Okay, so the deposition of the yolk is required. Why? It is required as a food reserve of embryo. Okay, what happened? This oocyte will participate in fertilization. So what will happen? The oocytes will means sperms fertilize the egg, and it becomes diploid and it becomes embryo. So the developing embryo from zygote to the blastula to gastrula, pharyngula, whatever the different developmental stages. Okay, during all these developmental stages, the cell need nourishment. Even before hatching, if we talk about the fishes, before hatching, the young one, okay, it takes all the food reserve from the egg is only, and that food reserve is basically in the form of yolk. So the deposition of the yolk is a required or the must phenomena, because that yolk will serve as a food for the developing fetus or a developing embryo. Okay, so in the initial stage there is a yolk. So what happened? The blood of the mature female, okay, so mature female during the pre-spawning season, what happened when this vitellogenesis started? So what happened? The blood of the mature female, it contains one protein which is basically a calcium binding lipophosphoprotein. Lipo means lipid, phospho means phosphate, and protein means a polypeptide. Okay, so this is basically a protein which have phospholipid. Okay, means a protein attached with the phospholipid. So lipophosphoprotein, which is called vitellogenin, it is synthesized in the liver cell of the female. Okay, and the synthesis of this vitellogenin is stimulated by the female sex hormone, that is estrogen. So after synthesis, it simply secreted into the blood, and from blood it goes to the oocytes. Okay, in oocyte, when it goes to the oocyte, and from oocyte membranous surface it goes inside, and where the limited proteolysis means fragmentation of the vitellogenin proteins occur, and it give rise to 4 yolk proteins. One is the lipovitelin, second one is the phosphatin, beta prime component, and C terminal peptides. And these 4 different yolk proteins, they accumulates in different proposition, different composition, and they form 3 yolk substances: the yolk vesicles, which contains glycoprotein, means glycoprotein constitute the major fraction in the yolk vesicle. Okay, then yolk globules, the major fraction is lipoprotein, and in the oil droplets the major fraction is the glyceride. So once the process of this vitellogenesis completes, what happened? The germinal vesicle, means the nucleus of the egg, it moves towards the animal pole, and the entire cell was filled by the yolk substances. So these yolk substances, they fuse together and they form the yolk inside the cell, egg. Okay, so just see the whole mechanism, how it occurs. So here the vitellogenesis, So what happened? The pituitary is a master gland which secretes the enzyme. Under the influence of hypothalamus, the pituitary secretes the follicle stimulating hormone FSH. So what happened? This follicle stimulating hormones, pituitary secretes the follicle stimulating hormone and it travels through the blood stream to the ovary. On ovary, it basically stimulates the follicle cells of the ovary. So the stimulation of follicle cells resulted into the release of the female sex steroid or the female sex hormone, which is known as the estrogen. Now this estrogen is carried by the sex steroid binding globulin protein, and through blood stream from ovary it goes to the liver. Okay, and it get inside the liver cell. Now liver cell have the receptor for this hormone estrogen, this female hormone. Okay, so the liver cell have the receptor for the estrogen. The moment the estrogen bind to this receptor, now this receptor bind to the DNA fragment or the promoter region of the Vitellogenesis gene. Okay, this estrogen along with this estrogen receptor along with the estrogen binds at the promoter region of the Vitellogenesis gene, now which triggers to the synthesis of the Vitellogenin. Okay, now this Vitellogenin gets secreted from the liver to the blood. From blood it goes to the oocytes or egg. The egg cells have a receptor. This is, you just see. Okay, the egg cells have the Vitellogenin receptor. So Vitellogenin receptor, so this protein, this Vitellogenin protein binds on the Vitellogenin receptor which is present on the egg cell, and now the process of endocytosis takes place. Means basically a vesicle form, a cell membrane forms a bag-like or vesicle-like structure and engulf the entire Vitellogenin protein. Now what happened? Initially the receptor get detached from the Vitellogenin and it binds to the, again it goes and binds to the membrane of the egg. Okay, and now this protein, this Vitellogenin further undergoes the enzymatic processing and it resulted into the 4 Vitellogenin protein, basically phosphatin, lipovitelin, beta component and C-terminal peptides. Okay, and these all together forms the yolk protein, which is a food reserve of a developing embryo or fetus. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anyone? Any question? Any confusion? Okay, so this is Vitellogenin. This is a female protein. This process occurs in the females. Okay, this is basically a yolk accumulation process, and this protein is synthesized inside the liver under the influence of the hormone estrogen. This estrogen is secreted under the influence of FSH, which is secreted by the pituitary. Okay, so this is the process of Vitellogenesis.